The following is a production of 10 Ply Media. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Couch Thoughts Podcast. From a couch, I'm Rocky Persinger. With me, as usual, my partner in crime, Brent Pickens. What's up, man?
What's going on, Rock?
Same old, same old. We're back here for another week. Got a few things we want to talk about this week, and start off. What'd you do this week, Brent?
We'll start. Saturday I went to the air show.
So we have at the airport here in West Virginia, Yeager Airport in Charleston. They do an annual air show.
Yeah, this is my first time I've gone, so it was pretty fun.
So they have a lot of planes there you can go up and see. And,
yeah, they have a lot of big old World War II planes, and they have a lot of cargo planes that you could go in, you could walk in. Now some of them cost money. The bigger ones, some of them are free. I think several of them, it was like $5 or $10 to go in. There was one you could do a wing walk on the wing of it for $15.
See, I don't know about that because every time I've been on a plane, I mean, there's always, I look out. If I get on a plane, I look out the window. I got a seat over the wing. It has a bunch of signs on the wing that says "Don't step here" on top of the wing. So.
I don't know, man.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't know. There was a lot of it was cool because parking was free. It was free admission. Now once you got in, of course, there was some stuff that cost. Of course, food was really overpriced.
Which is
sausage
anywhere.
Dog was $8.
Oh boy. It's basically like a bratwurst.
Yes.
Was $8.
Yes.
Jesus.
A regular hot dog was $4.
Oh boy.
A big thing of nachos was $6.
So like $4 hot dog, man.
Yes.
That might be worse than like when I went to a Reds game. That might be more than I don't know.
They gotta make their money, and then to ride on that one, I'm not sure what it was. The one I showed you.
Yeah, it was some sort of like prop plane, spruce goose looking thing. Looked like the plane from the Expendables.
Yeah, it did. It did. Well, to ride, you could ride it for $450.
Oh boy.
So
you took you and the kids and the wife.
Yeah,
and,
I don't think so.
You got all of you $450 a piece. You rolled in there.
I'm like, I don't.
You spent a cool $2,000.
Oh, that's crazy.
At the air show.
It's a cool drop a $2.
Drop $2K at the air show.
But no, it was fun, and when we watched the actual them parachuting out of the plane, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, Brent showed me a video of the guy who was parachuting out of the plane with like a smoke attached to his feet or whatever, and he was doing like stunts in the air.
That was pretty cool.
That sort of thing.
And then the Golden Knights, I can't remember what kind of plane they called it. There's these little yellow.
They look like Corsairs to me. If anybody's, they're World War II planes.
Yeah. But he said that different people call them different things. I can't remember what who was flying it, but no, it was pretty cool. They were doing all kinds of barrel rolls, and there's 4 of them flying, and the kids really enjoyed it. I mean, it was a lot of fun.
So have you ever seen the Blue Angels?
I never seen them.
They're nuts, man. They do all these like stunt planes and stuff, and like they're up there with jets, like, going hard, and it's something to see. Anybody out there that doesn't know about the Blue Angels, it's the Navy's or the Marine Corps', stunt planes, and they fly in formations and do all kinds of tricks. Look up the Blue Angels on YouTube, and there's some cool videos.
I remember hearing watching some stand up, and Bill Engvall was talking about his time. Yeah, he rode with the Blue. They asked him to go up with them.
Oh boy!
And he went up, and of course you have to have a bag. They're like, "Did you have your bag? Do you have your bag?" He's like, Yeah, but I'm not gonna throw up. They're like everybody throws up. So yeah, he threw up and passed out or something. But we're gonna talk about it, but yeah, I've heard about it. I haven't actually watched it. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, another thing that's really cool is the Marine Corps Silent Drill Team. I don't know if you've ever seen them, but they do all these drills, and they have like the rifles, and they spin them and toss them back and forth and all that stuff, and they do it completely. There's no sound like at all. There's no orders or like cues to tell them like, okay, this is when you're supposed to turn and all this stuff. They count their steps, and it's really cool too, man. Some of the stuff like that, I'm kind of into that stuff. I went to Arlington National Cemetery and saw the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. There's this whole there's always a guy standing outside of it guarding it like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you go there and they have a changing of the guard, and it's like this big ceremony. It's really cool, man. So just military history stuff like that is really cool. And the fact that they have something like that in West Virginia that you can kind of go see is, it's not the Blue Angels, but the Golden Knights or whoever it was. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
Plus, free parking and free to get in to see the planes.
Yeah.
They charge your ass off for the concessions, it sounds like. And
yeah, it'd be better off to eat before you go.
Yeah, just there you go. Just eat before you go, and
but yeah, if you haven't checked it out, you really should. It was really interesting to go and see. Because to me, like, I knew the stuff was big, but you see them on TV or whatever, like Avengers when they're fighting in the cargo thing and he's falling out and he's holding on to the edge.
Yeah.
I mean, they're big, but
the big C-130s,
right?
Yeah.
But you look at until you're actually up on it, it's like, wow. I mean, that's something like that
big plane.
big and heavy, can fly. I don't know. I thought it was crazy.
Yeah, they fly the big C-130s out of Yeager Airport there, part of the Air National Guard, and you see them flying overhead all the time, but you never like get up close and personal to them. So that was cool. I had a slightly less pleasurable experience this week. I finally bought me a new car.
About time.
Yeah, well, you deal with all these salesmen, which I talked about things I hate, buying new cars last week or a couple weeks ago. Yep. I can't remember when it was, but I will say the whole like paper signing thing was pretty smooth this time. You got to sign like 12,000 papers. You're basically signing your life away.
Yep.
But I had a big Ford F-150. It was an FX4. It was a really nice truck. Just a couple of things. Once that Ford hit 60,000 miles, it was in the shop more than I drove it, I think.
Yeah.
Especially there was a 3-week period that I didn't have it, stuff like that. So it's just time to trade it off, man. And I got a little Honda Accord. So I'm pushing about 330 right now. So me and a Honda Accord, it's a full-size car.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, they change your body a lot, because a guy I work with, he has like a 2000 or so, and it was still when it was just a small.
It was small, yeah.
It's kind of like the Civic,
Yeah.
And, but yeah, they've changed a lot.
Yeah, now the Civic is still small. I tried to fit in a Civic. I could not do it. I couldn't drive it. Would not happen. So I had to go up to the Accord, which got, less gas mileage, but I was averaging about 16 miles a gallon in my truck, and with this thing I've been averaging about 35. So
it's not bad.
Yeah, so the time basically, I'm getting double the gas mileage. So the gas it used to take me to drive to work, I can now drive to work and back on the same amount of gas. So that's pretty darn good. I basically cut my gas expense in half. So there is merit to going to the little, the little car instead of the truck. West Virginia here, we like our trucks, like to have a truck, but but I got through the buying experience alive, got the Honda, and
And the sales guy's still alive, correct?
Sales guy's still alive. That is correct.
Okay.
I didn't talk to him there for a couple weeks, but you know, we finally reached a deal. I finally just had to go in there and be like, look, this is the deal I want. Give it to me, or I'll just walk out. And he's like, all right, we'll do it. So that was the end. That was the end of that. But all the paperwork, man, it's just like, when I bought my house, there's all these all this paperwork, and it's just a hassle, man. The whole buying a car should not be that hard. Like, I don't know. The next time, I'm thinking if I miss my truck, I'm just going to go to an auto auction and buy an old like beater, like S10 or something. So I don't know. I hope I can keep this car long enough to not have to do the whole car buying thing for a pretty good while. So I finally, after, I bought a bunch of games and decided that I didn't want to spend any more money on video games. I finally broke down and got NHL 19 because, the NHL season started. My Blue Jackets, they're 3-2 right now. They're not doing that great. They got beat by the Hurricanes. And then they also got beat by the Tampa Bay Lightning last night, 8-2.
Yeah, that wasn't
which is no good. I don't know what your Capitals record is right now. Probably. I think. But so the in hockey, they go by points.
Yeah.
So a regulation win is 2 points. So, and then they had an overtime win. The Blue Jackets had an overtime win as well. So they have like 5 points, I guess. But it's the Metropolitan Division.
Oh.
And that sounds kind of like it's kind of a weird division name to me, the Metropolitan Division, because it's kind of like, I don't know, man. It's like, they have the metrosexual thing.
Yep.
So I don't know about that whole the name of the division.
We're not off to too much of a hot start either. We're 2-1.
2-1, the Capitals.
Yep.
So I think the Penguins are 3-2 as well, but
the Bruins looking good right now.
The Bruins looking good. I've got on the Blue Jackets, we've got Riley Nash now that used to play for the Bruins, and in my NHL franchise just put him on the trading block. So he wasn't happy either. The morale went down. But that brings me to NHL 19. We talked about it a little bit here on the podcast, but I finally got the game, so we wanted to talk about it. Now, the big thing going into this year of NHL was the scouting in the franchise mode, which, if anybody knows me and Pickens, we know, we love the franchise mode in any game. Like that's the main game mode we play. It's cool to be an owner and a coach, of the team, and then also play as a team. But so the scouting, man, it looked really good in theory. Okay, yes. So we were all excited about it. There were videos about how you can scout, other teams in the league. You can scout minor league players. You can scout for prospects and stuff like that. So the way this thing works, though, it's a lot more complicated than it really needs to be.
Yeah. I don't know why I don't know why they couldn't have kept it simple like NCAA 15 did. That's 15, wasn't it?
Well, NCAA 14 was the last one, so it was 14.
Was it 14?
Yeah, 14.
Okay. Yeah, because they kept it simple. You had your draft board. You went down through it, and you scouted them, found out what their thing, and you found out if they were a diamond or a bust or
right
or whatever. And I thought that's what they were going to do here, but there's just so many scouts, and there's some scouts that scout the amateurs. There's some scouts that scout the regions, and
so you have amateur and pro scouts. This is how we'll just go through, kind of try to go through this scouting thing. You have amateur and pro scouts. Of those, you can send them. Of the amateur scouts, you can send them to different countries around the world and different leagues around the world and scout prospects. And of those prospects, there's a draft board out there where what they call central scouting ranks these players, which central scouting is basically like, an impartial NHL scout said that this player was number 1 on the draft board. So then you have to go to that draft board. Look, instead of, okay, that player's on the draft board. I select his name and I hit send a scout. Send a scout to this location and scout this guy. No. You have to look, what league is that guy playing in? What kind of amateur league is he playing in? Then you have to send a scout to that area that he's playing in, and then go to scout specific players, and then pull up his name and scout him. Why is it that hard?
I don't know.
It's cool the way they do it. And then you have your pro scouts. So your pro scouts, you can decide to send them either to scout other NHL teams, or they can go scout a minor league team. So then you have to divide your scouts up between, minor league and the NHL, and you can scout an entire division, you can scout a specific team, you can scout specific players on that team, you can scout yada yada. It just goes on and on and on, right? Yep. So the way I would have liked to have it done would be like, okay, you got a pro scout. And it took me a while to realize even the difference between like an amateur scout and a pro scout. Like, I didn't get that whole difference. But, the way I would like to have it is, okay, here's your top prospects. Okay, you select that guy, send a scout him. Just the way it works in NCAA, just like Brent said, in NCAA 14, that's the way it works. Yep. In the pro scouts, say, okay, the Washington Capitals are in my division. So I want to send a pro scout over to the Capitals, scout them, see what they're doing, and report back to me what you got. But no, I got to go in there. Okay, I want to scout this. I give them you're going to scout this for 2 weeks, and then you're going to come back and blah blah blah. I don't know, man. I was really looking forward to the scouting on NHL 19, and it kind of let me down, honestly.
Yeah, it's almost more of a hassle than it's worth. I don't know.
Yeah, it's almost like you should just put it on auto and, just let the computer do its thing. But then I noticed that the AI, if you put your scouting on auto, the AI is stupid. Like you also have, each scout has areas on the map that they're good at. So, and they have an A through F scale, so you want to get your guys in the regions where they're an A+, so some people might be good in Europe, some people might be good in Russia, some people might be good in Scandinavia. You send them there. Well, turns out if your scout is in a region that he's not good at, you have to pay to fly him over to another region.
Oh yeah.
Which, so then it comes out of your budget, and you have to allocate a certain budget and your owner's thing to travel for these scouts. Then you have your scout salaries, and, on and on and on. And it's just, I don't know, man. It's just so overly complicated for no reason. But, maybe they'll get back to, maybe they'll improve on it next year. As of right now, I'm kind of feeling it out. I'm starting to figure out the scouting. I kind of figured it out. I have my scouts set up around where they're good, and I turned the auto scouting off so they don't scout stupid things. And but that's kind of my experience. So, Brent, how's your franchise going there?
It's going all right. I think I've scouted like 170 some players. Every week I'll go, I'll play a game, and then I'll go and look at it again. And sometimes I'll send them, I'll actually send them to different places. But I mean, it's going decent. But I'm having the same issue that you're having. I'm not a fan. I'm really not a fan of the scouting, and I'm almost to the point where I'm just going to turn scout to the auto scout on.
Yeah, so if you turn Auto Scout on, your draft board will start slowly filling up with information.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I'm not a big fan. Another thing about it, when you're scouting prospects, you can only scout one thing about them at a time.
Yeah, that's really annoying.
You can't just say, "Oh, give me a full report." You know, you got to say, "Oh, well, scout this player's overall, or scout this player's comparison to another player, scout his potential, stuff like that." You can only scout one thing at a time. And and then you know, once you're done scouting that thing, you've got to go back in and say, okay, scout this other thing about the same player.
Yeah.
Which is just,
you know,
so
it kind of reminds me of the scouting on Madden several years ago. That made me mad because I don't know if you remember, but
I probably didn't play it honestly because I quit buying Madden like 5 years ago.
Well, this was probably around that time. Then you know, you had all your attributes, but you could only scout one at a time each week. So if you want to find out a speed, you scout a speed. And it was like, I don't know, it was a lot of points. You know, you got so many points each week. And, you know, you never really found out his overall until you scouted all that. And to me, that's kind of what that reminds me of.
Yeah, man. So NHL, the scouting, I do like, the one thing I do really like is the gameplay, though, because they fixed the skating on it. It used to be the skating was really weighty, and you know, you couldn't stop your player and turn very good. Now, which apparently they use the same engine that Madden does, but it works a lot better.
Yeah. Well, the puck handling's a lot better too.
The puck handling's legit. The skating is crazy. You know, like just this morning, you know, I had a penalty shot. So I ran up. I was going to the goal, and a guy like slashed me and like interfered with me. I got a penalty shot. So I roll up in there. I deked right, and then the goalie followed me. And then I just put it right up in the left corner, and it felt awesome, man.
Yeah.
Like the deking and all that stuff, really cool.
I even noticed even the goalie, if you're watching, the saves are filthy. A lot of them because you know there's this one that I did a slap shot in the top right, and you could see it going. I thought it was gonna go in, and he just reached up and just
snatches it.
And it just looks so good, you know. So
yeah, and there's a lot of strategy. Like, okay, well, this time I'll try to go stick side, then we'll go glove side. You know, but the skating's really legit. I also noticed that the puck handling is better in traffic.
Oh yeah,
like you can skate through some traffic now that normally, you know, last year you wouldn't have been able to. So that's really cool.
Well, see, I noticed even you have more offensive plays you can do. I don't know if I call them plays, but maneuvers or whatever. Because I was going, and this first time it popped up, it said hit. Which was pass button? R2? Yeah.
Yeah.
It said hit L2, double tap it. Well, then I spun.
Oh yeah,
I did a spin.
That's the spinorama they call it. Yeah, you tap L2. You can also tap L1 and it'll do an off the puck deke, which is really cool.
Oh yeah. I seen that last night too.
Or you can hold down L1 and use the stick to deke, which it'll do a lot of stuff. You can hold down L1, hit R3, and pull back on the stick and basically hold R3, L1, R3, and do a slap shot, and it'll do a between the legs shot.
Oh, really?
It's really awesome.
That's cool.
There's all kinds of stuff you can do, which they had some of that last year, but it feels better now.
Yeah.
They got this real player motion or whatever the heck it is, and it feels a lot better now. So props to them for that. But still, the scouting is it's irking me about the game.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to end up to where I don't finish a lot of the franchise because I'm so frustrated with the scouting.
Yeah.
Like, that's probably what's going to end up happening. But also, I did hit up the Ultimate Team. The Hockey Ultimate Team, or they call it HUT, HUT.
Yep.
it's really cool the way it's set up. I don't think it changed from last year, but I just want to give a shout out to NHL because, okay, the Ultimate Team on the show, right? MLB The Show. That's really the only other Ultimate Team I've really delved into a lot. I've actually got some pretty good play. I got some gold cards and a few diamonds in the MLB The Show Ultimate Team. But the way they have it set out, you play games against the computer, and then for each player, you have a goal in that game you have to complete. Like, you have to hit 2 doubles, or you have to have 3 fielding assists, or stuff like that. And you have to complete these goals, and then that goes, and you unlock other goals, and and it's by player. The way the Hockey Ultimate Team is set up, they have team achievements. So you go in, your team plays another team, and your goals will be like, score 3 goals, or complete the game and do all this stuff. So that the goals are easier to complete. So I could see myself going through more and completing those. Also, some of the Legends players are on loan.
Yeah.
So they have contracts with you that you can extend their contract or not extend it. It'll say like, okay, 10 games remaining, and then when you get down to 0, you can use one of your cards that you get. It's a consumable card, and give them a contract for another 10 games. And that part of it's pretty cool that, some of the players are actually like contracted to play for your Ultimate Team, and it's a good way to limit the Legends, so you're not just using Legends like all the time, but yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. So I like a lot of things about NHL 19, but the one thing I was really looking forward to was the scouting, and that's kind of the one thing that let me down. So
yeah.
But I'm still playing it, man. I'm really looking forward to it. I'll be playing it for another. Well, actually, let's see. Is it the 26th or 28th?
26.
26. So we are. I guess that'll be a Friday. So 2 weeks from this past Friday.
Oh man.
Is Red Dead. So we are 1 week and 5 days away from Red Dead Redemption, and it's going to be legit.
Yeah.
So I'll be playing NHL up until that time, and then Red Dead's basically just going to take over my life. So that's kind of my plan.
Yep. Oh yeah.
So, but that's what's going to happen. And everybody knows that listens to the podcast, we're really looking forward to Red Dead Redemption 2, and every other game won't matter at that point. So, for a pretty long time. So, next thing, Brent watched a little movie this week and wanted to talk about it, so I'm going to let Brent take it away now.
Uncle Drew,
which...
reach, young blood.
From the, originally it's Kyrie Irving dressed up as an old man. He had a viral YouTube video out there where he was schooling people in Rucker Park.
Yep. I guess it started out as a Pepsi commercial. I guess.
That's right.
And it went from there. And I guess so they decided to make a movie out of it. And for anybody that hasn't watched it yet, it's a really good movie. You got Uncle Drew. He was they tell a little bit of a backstory. I guess in the 60s, he basically, him and his crew run Rucker Park, and then there's a championship game, and they never showed up. So people were and they haven't heard of them since. And then it picks up in the probably around the now time.
All right.
And the guy that is coaching, he's coaching because he had something happen when he was a kid, and he was embarrassed by so much, so he quit playing basketball. Well, he has a rival that's beat him his whole life. He blocked the big shot in the championship game on him, and he hasn't been the same since. So, then that guy basically steals his team that he's planning on winning the championship with. There's a $100,000 for Rucker Park to play the tournament. So, he ends up watching, he's at one of the games, and there's this old man, it's Uncle Drew. He is just berating these guys playing. Yeah, he's like, you're not playing the way the game was meant to be played and all this. And, well, he ends up getting up and just schooling the guys. But, of course, you got Kyrie as Uncle Drew. Of course, Shaq's in it. He's the big fella. Chris Webber, he's the preacher. Now, the funny thing about Chris Webber in the thing, like when they're in the championship game, Uncle Drew, he hollers at the preacher, and he's like, "Remember, we're out of timeouts." I thought that was kind of funny. It was a throwback to
Chris Webber. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I got you now.
And then you got Reggie Miller. He plays lights. Well, when they go pick him up, he's at a they're like, yeah, he's working on a shot, and he's over this I guess like a Chuck E. Cheese shooting them, and he's blind. He's blind as a bat, so he's missing everything. And the coach of the team is like, "Are you kidding me?" He's like, "He's going to be," but he ends up getting him glasses later, and he could actually see.
Yeah,
but, I thought that was cool. Yeah, because Reggie just call him lights out, and then this one kind of got me a little teary eyed. I ain't gonna lie to you. Nate Robinson plays Boots. His granddaughter's taking care of him. She goes every weekend to the nursing home and visits him.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't talked. He hasn't walked in probably 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been in a nursing home. Hasn't been in real bad shape. Well, when Kyrie goes into the nursing home and sees him, and he goes up and gives him a hug, and they're like, "Well, he won't know who you are and all this." Well, then Kyrie gives him a hug, or Uncle Drew gives him a hug, and then he pulls him back in and hugs him again, and then you can see his hands, and Boots is tapping his finger, tapping his finger on his hand,
mm-hmm.
And then Uncle Drew sees it, and he's like, "Give me the ball," and he throws it at him, and Boots catches it. And I don't know.
I mean, so you laughed, you cried.
I laughed, I cried. I mean, it was a really good. It was a really good flick. I mean, it was a really good movie.
Well, I thought it was fun. The Boots part too about the shoes. I thought.
Yeah. Right before they're getting ready to play the game, of course, Uncle Drew gives each of them something. Something to. That was from when they played in the '60s,
right?
And when he comes to Boots is in his wheelchair. He rolls him up, and he pulls out a pair of high top sneakers from the '60s that they used to be Boots' shoes,
right?
And he Boots is starting. He's starting a little teary eyed. He puts them on, and he stands up. And he starts doing crossovers and everything else, and dribbling, and his granddaughter is it's just her mind's blown,
Yeah, he hasn't walked in however many years.
Yeah, he hasn't walked.
He gets his high top sneakers, and then all of a sudden he could ball.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's funny to me.
I loved it, and then of course Uncle Drew and Kyrie. I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but they had a thing in the '60s. What broke? Why they didn't show up to the championship? And they end up explaining what happened, and it was honestly, it's a good family movie, and it would be a real good movie to watch for anybody that hasn't watched it, or because basketball, I hold it close because when I was growing up, that was the one of the sports I could play by myself.
Yeah,
my mom and papa got me a basketball hoop and stuff, and
and since we have so many friends,
so
we have to. you this is some sad shit right now, man.
It is
it's because I can play it by myself. That's the kind of shit we're dealing with right now.
It is, and usually usually in the evenings, past couple years, me and Matt will go to the court and we'll play an hour or two after. it's always late. It's always like we meet up like 8 or 9 o'clock. But I don't know. It's always been basketball. I've really always held pretty close to my heart. Just because it's one of those things you can actually do by yourself. You can get better by yourself. It's hard. I know how that sounds all sad stuff, but basketball you can't, or football you can't really throw and
you throw the ball to yourself.
Yeah, I mean you can't. So baseball is kind of the same thing unless you have a pitching machine or something.
Well, so baseball, that was the thing I played by myself because I'm not a big fan of basketball. I think it's kind of I like playing schoolyard basketball stuff, but watching basketball, professional basketball or college basketball, whatever, it's just too much of a pansy game for me. I don't know. I just can't. Something about it, all the fouls and stuff.
Yeah, so it's hard to watch in the NBA anymore.
But so baseball, I set up in my parents' front yard. I had a little home plate, and then like the middle of the porch was first base, and then I had one tree that was second base, and then I had a birdhouse post that was third base, and I had all these rules for myself. I had a wiffle ball bat and a wiffle ball, and I'd throw up the wiffle ball and hit it, and depending on where it went, that's okay, this if I hit it this far it's a single, if I hit it this far it's a double, I hit this far it's a triple, hit this far it's a home run. If I hit it over the fence it's a home run. So I would sit there and play entire games of baseball, like hit it, okay, that's a double, run to second, and then walk back to home plate. Hit it again. Oh, that's a single. Okay, the guy from second's going to score. I'm going to go to first. And then, I would play an entire game of baseball like that, sitting there by myself.
It's funny you talk about that because I remember before I really had many friends, Billy, my brother, would come up to Mama's on the weekends.
Yep.
And this was a little bit probably before we had a basketball hoop and stuff. But we were always out. We were always outside doing something.
Right.
So we wanted to play baseball one day, and we didn't have a baseball. So we went and got a big rock.
Oh boy!
Hold on, no. We got a big rock, and Papa had some clear tape. So we used a whole roll of that clear tape.
Oh, the Pocky tape.
Pocky tape to make a ball, and we sat there for hours. But we did the same thing. Billy would pitch. And then, okay, if I hit it, I got first.
Yep.
And then, he stole, or something.
You're just like, ha, he stole. You can't deny it.
It usually ended up as Billy getting mad at me, said I was cheating, and then...
That's because you cheat.
Well, I mean, it happens. And then there's times I had to charge the mound. But, I mean,
I charged the mound on myself, throwing it up to myself and hitting it.
But I did look forward to when Billy come over because there's a little bit more stuff we could do. Heck, I remember shooting ball before we even had basketball hoop. We used the power line, Paul. The power line. We were shooting over it.
That sounds safe.
Yeah, I know.
But we did some crazy stuff in the late '80s, early '90s.
But yeah, I mean, this is the stuff you try to do by yourself to just have fun with it. So
see, and that's the kind of stuff that your kids and my kids, if I ever have any, I feel like that's completely lost on this whole generation.
Oh, it is.
Which we're just going to sound like old curmudgeon-y old men saying, "Oh, these kids."
Yep.
But really, man, I mean. We started to see it when we were 10 or 12, video games really hit.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, I don't want to go outside anymore.
Yep.
I'm going to sit here and play this. But, from the time I was 3 or 4 to the time I was 12, 13, till the time I was a teenager, basically, if I wasn't outside, my mom is going to put me outside. Yeah. But, these days it's just if it ain't on the iPad, I don't care.
That's something I don't understand because even up till high school, when I had the PlayStation, I had this, we would play it in the evenings.
Yeah.
After it got dark, but for the most part, we were outside.
Yeah, outside shooting
Playing
basketball, playing
football, baseball, whatever, you know? And that's why I don't understand. Like, I never let video games, like, rule my life, you know? I enjoy playing them, but I'm going to go and I'm still going to go outside and do this stuff and have fun.
Yeah.
You know, if it's between that and playing baseball or basketball or football or something, I'm gonna be doing that.
Yeah.
Or outside creating a wrestling ring and throwing Jerry off a ladder through some sheetrock on 2 5-gallon buckets.
Well,
You know,
yeah.
Or you know,
let's draw the line. Maybe it's better if the kids don't do that these days.
Well, probably not.
We'll
But
probably
no, I remember we made a makeshift ring, and it was just it. Actually, all we had was ropes, because if you hit the ground, you're going to get hurt.
Oh yeah.
And then Billy, I remember Billy or Tyler or whoever would be commentating while 2 of us were in the ring wrestling, and I you know, I don't know. It's just we were always outside doing something.
Yeah.
Now in the evenings, a lot of time, you know, now once 2 o'clock in the morning hit, Billy would roll in there and watch some Walker.
That's true.
But I mean, a lot of times we were in the bedroom playing PlayStation or whatever. But a lot of times we would take lights out, set up on the corner of the driveway so we could shoot ball.
Yeah.
We were shooting ball, and I'll never forget. Billy got mad at me and said I was cheating him. And he got mad and kicked over the light, busted the ball.
Oh no!
It was everywhere. So, like, just stuff like that, like that. I know the new generation, no matter what, I don't think they're going to. You know, they're stuck on the video games. And as a parent, all you can do is try to get them to go outside and do stuff. Now Trent goes outside and rides his bike and stuff, or passes ball and stuff. Yeah. But like he was staying at his grandpa's this weekend, and like I don't know, he fishes and stuff, but right now he's all about that phone, and I don't, you know,
yep.
You can only take it away for so long. I mean, I don't, you know, there's not,
yeah,
I don't know.
Some reason I just thought of the time I almost killed your brother.
When you choked him out.
Yeah. So we're playing basketball, and this stuff always ended in a huge brawl.
Oh yeah,
like that's how it always ended. That's when we had to go in and play video games because we got into a fight.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the time too. Then I forgot to mention we always UFC'd. Like it would just come into, or the first thing in the morning you'd wake up and like you're on top of the other and punching him in the gut and stuff, and like it wasn't over until somebody tapped out.
That's real. So in this case, Billy didn't even have the chance to tap out.
No.
So something happens with basketball. Billy basically accuses me of cheating.
Yeah. Well, Billy had a thing where you remember the saying like 10, 15 years ago, everybody said your mom. Your mom.
That was it. Yeah. I just said something about his mom.
Well, Billy had a thing where if anybody said something about his mom, he felt like he had to fight him. Even I was like, "Hey, Bill, your mom."
Yeah, you just have to say your mom.
We have the same mother, so I don't know. But
yeah, he would get pissed.
He would get mad.
He'd get really mad. So you know, and he's a little guy. He's a little guy, and he was also like 3 or 4 years younger than us. Or how many years younger than us?
4.
4.
Yeah.
So you know, he's this little guy, and he's smaller than us because you know we're older. Yep. So, but he would, you know, he would scrap with the rest of us.
He's a scrapper.
He's a scrapper, man. So he comes at me and starts, you know, punching me and stuff. And
at this time, Billy is maybe 100 pounds.
Yeah, and I'm probably sitting at like 225 at the time, you know. And so Billy comes at me. Well, I just grab him and turn him around and put him in a chokehold. Yeah. Well, apparently, I didn't realize that my technique for my chokehold is actually pretty decent. And I got the arteries in his neck. Like I choked him off. So within like 4 or 5 seconds, he's out. I have choked him out, and I just felt him go limp in my arms. And I was like, oh my God.
He's dead.
He's dead. I've killed him. I killed him. And so then, like, I just let go, and he, like, smacks the pavement. And then he's not making any noise, like, for a little bit. And, like, I thought I killed him. I'm like, oh my God, I've killed your brother. And then he starts breathing and, like, snoring really loud. It was like, and, like I was like, oh God, he can't breathe. He can't breathe. You know, I'm like trying to wake him up, like I'm, you know, patting his face and all this stuff. And then he finally comes out of it, and he doesn't know where the heck he is. Yeah, he doesn't remember what the heck happened. Nothing like that, man. And so yeah, I thought I killed Brent's brother when we were probably like 14,
probably, yeah,
you know, at that time. So,
but yeah, shout out to him, man. He was 4 years younger, but he was always there, in there, you know, doing everything with us, no matter what, if it was football. And while I'm on that, I gotta tell the story of the time we were playing at Poca High.
Yeah, you go for it.
Well, we're playing at Poca High. We're playing football with some guys we went to high school with.
Yep.
Well, this one guy, and Matt's dad's playing with us too. Matt's dad always played football with us.
He was probably like, what, 50 at the time? 55?
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
I think we were maybe 14 or 15.
We had a guy that played with. We were probably 15 years old. We had a guy that played with us who was probably like 25.
Yeah.
And he had been to prison.
Yep.
So we called him Convict. Which was pretty ballsy of some 15-year-old kids.
It was, but hey, he was down with it. He was all right with it.
He was all right with it, man. And the reason I bring that up is because he called Matt's dad old school.
Yeah, he's like, coming down old school.
And he would tell he was a quarterback, and he was a really good quarterback, actually. Probably from his time in the pen.
It might have been.
And he would telegraph his passes, and he would say, coming down. And, you know, like, he called me, like, big guy or something, you know, and he'd be like, coming down old school. And that's what he called Matt's dad. I was like, but I don't know how he got away with throwing passes and saying coming down and telling the other team who he's going to throw it to.
Daring them.
Just daring them to pick it off. But yeah, anyway, continue with your story.
But we're playing, and I went to tackle somebody, and when I tackled them, their head or somebody's head went in my knee, so I was out to play. I hurt my knee. Well, I was out because I would have done it myself.
Oh, and this is full tackle football.
This is full contact. Well, we're playing, and this guy we went to high school with kept messing with my brother every time off thing. He was cheap shotting him somehow. Well, you know, because we always had the all Bill offense because he never got tired.
He was our Wes Welker.
He was.
He was that. We threw the ball these little short slant routes every time, and he would just run.
Yeah. Well, that guy kept you know, cheap shotting him and everything, and you know, I was starting to get pretty mad because, you know, if I'd been in there, I'd took him out. Well, anyway, we're on offense, and Daryl's like, I got this. Well, he talks crap to that guy, and he's like, you guard me, you defend me. Well, he runs a little slant pattern to the end zone. He turns around, he punches the guy in the throat. He drops and he catches a touchdown pass. It was the funniest thing.
Oh my God! Yeah, he just like dropped the guy and then caught a touchdown pass. It was
almost like Convict knew he was getting ready to do it. So it was like, he drops him and then, touchdown.
Convict knew what was going to happen. You better believe.
But after that, he didn't mess with him.
No, not another cheap shot. Funny how that works, isn't it?
It is. That's up there almost as good of the time as, I don't know, there was like 100 guys at Poca High when we were playing. Remember they split up teams?
Yeah, they split up a bunch of teams. We played on like two different fields with half of the field for each game. Yeah.
Well, I look over, Rocky catches...
I balled hard.
He was playing running back for some reason.
Well, because nobody could tackle me. I was 300. At this point in high school, I was like 260 pounds and just basically muscle because I lifted weights every single day. You know,
he caught like a little screen pass and there's this black boy coming straight at him.
I don't know. That might be a little racist to say.
Right?
He was black.
Well, he's a little black. Whatever.
There's this guy coming.
Coming at him.
Oh my God! We're gonna get in trouble.
Now we're not getting in trouble. Anyway, he comes at him, and this 300-pound guy,
That's
jukes.
me, 300-pound guy.
And this guy was probably maybe 150, 160 pounds. I mean, he was, pretty athletic, looked like. Well, anyway, Rocky jukes him, and he looks like that his ankles were broke. Like, it was,
Yeah, he came up to me. He's like, "Nice juke, man." I was like, "Yeah, thanks." But yeah, I scored the touch.
But it's like that guy shouldn't be that athletic. But
yeah, I don't know. I feel like our little team there, man. If we put some pads on and played, if anybody would have let us play because we weren't from the right families to play actual sports.
Oh yeah.
If anybody would have let, we would have been pretty good. Because I guarantee one thing: there might have been better teams than us, but there weren't going to be tougher teams than us.
There's no way.
Because back in the day, man, we played full tackle football. There was people getting bloody noses.
Yep.
There was we were always bloody and stuff. Which I don't know how we're 15-year-old kids playing with like 25-year-old guys that have been to prison. I don't know how we're not getting AIDS and shit.
I don't know. Well, we were playing at AJ one day, and it was pouring down the rain. There's this big mud hole, and
I missed the AJ game.
You wasn't there for it. Me and Matt, we're on the same team, and Convict was on the opposite team.
Yeah, and
we're like,
oh God,
we line up power I. Me and Matt take turn running straight at Convict.
And
this is at 15. This is at 15.
Yeah,
I do remember the time you threw Matt at Convict.
I did. That did happen.
Oh gosh, but I mean, we're 15 at the time. If we had enough people for a team, I don't know if there's many people that would have beat us.
We were we had the power running game down, and then also the short passing game. But yeah, man, I don't know. Those are some good times. Those old those football games. We played a lot, just full tackle football with no pads or anything, and I don't know how one of us didn't get our neck broken.
Yeah,
but it was fun, man. I liked playing basketball with you guys, but I really look forward to playing the football.
Yeah,
because I didn't really like actual high school football. I played harder in our games, than I played just because I hated the coaches. But But yeah, man, it was just those are the days right there. Those were our heydays, basically. All this, playing tackle football.
If I could go back to a time, that would definitely be.
That'd be up there. It'd be up there.
We had so much fun, and I don't know if anybody's had better chemistry than all of us had because.
Yeah, we're best friends since
we all knew what the other was going to do. You know,
you and Matt since 4th grade.
Yep.
Obviously, you and Billy are brothers, so your whole life. And then me, I came in the 6th grade time frame, so we'd known each other for a pretty long time. So we knew what we were going to do. I just had to look over at Matt to know, okay, he's running deep this time. I'm going to chuck it deep. We were pretty good, man, and. There were other teams around here. We'd show up to Poca High School. There were other guys playing, and we didn't lose very often.
And even if you take it to basketball, we were the same way playing basketball.
Which you guys, you and Matt were a lot better than I was at basketball, but I can bang down low.
Now Matt's the center.
I know Matt's the center. I'm obviously the point guard.
Obviously the point guard.
Because that makes sense.
Oh, it was great times.
Great times, man. But speaking of football, we got to talk about WVU yesterday. So, at the start of the season, a lot of WVU fans, and they do this every year.
All you have to do is go back and listen to a few weeks ago.
Yeah, and I'm a WVU. I love WVU, but I also know football a little bit, and WVU is, they're not going to win a national championship. I'm sorry, people.
Yeah.
I mean, but some of the fans, there's a portion of the fan base that starts this every year, man. Oh, they're going to win a national championship. Will Greer's going to win the Heisman. And, I've said it before, like, no, man, it'd be a great year if they won 10 games.
Yeah.
So they still have a chance to do that. They lost to Iowa State yesterday in pretty embarrassing fashion. But, it'll be a really great year if they win 10 games, which they did 2 years ago. They won 10 games. Great year. But they're not going to win, not going to go undefeated, at least right now, with the team they have, and win the national championship. And, there is no, even if there's a bunch of other one-loss teams, WVU can't lose and still make the playoff.
No.
Alabama can lose a game and
Right.
then still make the playoff. WVU can't do that because, one, there is a media bias against WVU.
Yeah.
That's number one. There's a media bias where, people, which we blow big games. That's kind of what we do. It's kind of our thing.
Yeah.
So the media doesn't trust us to win big games. There's also, it's a small market, so they're not talking about WVU as much as they're talking about, say, in Alabama or whoever.
Yeah.
And that's also the reason why I've been saying the whole time that Will Greer's not going to win the Heisman, because if he has one bad game, it's over. Because the media bias against WVU, they're not going to let him win the Heisman if he has one off day, because there's a quarterback right now down in Alabama
That is straight balling.
that is going off. He has taken them to a whole nother level. Now, he got hurt this week.
Yeah.
He did get hurt, but Tua, but then they got what's his face to back him up, the quarterback from last year.
Yep. Was it Jalen Hurts?
Jalen Hurts. They have Jalen Hurts to back him up, but I don't know, man. It's just that's why I'm like, okay, WVU. They're not going to win all their games because that's a tough schedule. The Big 12 is a tough schedule. And they just Will Greer has not played well the last 2 weeks. And the way that air raid offense works, if the quarterback has an off day, your team's done.
Oh, yeah.
There's no running game to back him up. He's got no backup. But Brent's not much of a WVU fan, so I'll take your perspective from this.
I'm not gonna say I'm not much. I think it's. I'm on the kind of the same situation. Like I pull. I'm West Virginia, so I'm gonna pull for West Virginia or Marshall or whatever. I'd like to see them both win, but to me, even if we go back to high school, that's why. The reason I wasn't a big WVU fan is because of the fans.
The other WVU fans.
Because, man, when they had Slayton and all that, that's all I heard through high school. Well, they're going to win the national championship this year. And I'm like, no.
Which they almost did the one year, my freshman year of college. But Pitt came in and beat them.
And they crumbled.
They
all they had to do
crumbled.
was beat Pitt. That's it.
All they had to do beat Pitt. The way to the national championship was paved. They would have won that national championship game. I have no doubt. Yeah. If they would have just got to it, but then they lost to Pitt. I remember in the dorms, one of the guys in the rooms next to me came home from the game crying. he was crying in the bed talking to his mom.
Oh my goodness!
It was pretty funny actually.
Man,
it was pretty hilarious.
That's embarrassing. But I mean. I hope good things from them. I mean, I do, but like you said, every year it's the same stuff. Every year, this is WVU's year.
Yeah,
I'm like, man, they just don't have, and I just found out today. You want to tell me about how Will Greer ended up there, and
he's suspended from Florida for performance enhancing drugs. So
I'm just saying you're not going to get. I don't know. You can't. I understand being a fan and you're hoping for the best thing year in year out, and I get it, but To me, some of the WVU fans are the worst, man.
They're not. They can't separate their feelings from reality.
Yeah.
It's like, oh well, I like WVU, so they're going to win the national championship this year.
Right.
So
Let's be real for a minute.
Let's be real for a
Let's
minute.
be real, you know.
Because okay, last year WVU was on this whole roll. Everybody, Greer for Heisman. But you know, then Iowa State comes in there, and WVU barely survives that game. Last year it was 20-18. WVU won. So every year Iowa State is the team in the Big 12 that, you know, they play a lot of bad games, but then they're playing in Oklahoma. They get up, man.
Yeah.
And they always, and people overlook them every year. And this is why, you know, I blame a lot of the WVU losses on coaching.
Yeah.
Because they just not getting their players mentally prepared to win a football game. Because you're looking at, okay, you know, we're number 6 this week. Texas is number 9.
And you're looking past.
You're looking at, okay, I'm going to go play Texas for the Big 12 championship. And then the next thing you know, what was Iowa State? That's why the Patriots are so good.
Yeah.
Because did you see the interview the other day with Belichick?
With Kansas City?
Yeah, he's like, this is kind of for your division. You know, do you feel like you're playing for the AFC? And he's like, feels like we're playing Kansas City. And then they're like, but does this game have a little bit extra weight? What does it feel like? He's like, it feels like we're playing Kansas City.
And that's what your coach should do.
Well,
you know, I'm not a Belichick fan, but you know, you can't look past just because of their name or they're not ranked and expect to just go out and blow them out.
Yeah, but see, you know, so Holgorsen says all the right things.
Yeah.
If you look at his pregame press conferences, he says all the right things. Oh, we're going to take this one game at a time and blah, blah, blah. But he says that, and then you look at how his players are prepared for that week, and it speaks a different story.
Oh, yeah.
You know? So
yeah, I mean, was Greer that bad, or if it was did he just have some good games at the beginning of the year?
Here's another thing I think about Greer. You know, he was in the Heisman talks. He was legitimately in the Heisman talks. I'm not going to take that away from him.
Yeah, his rankings and their way up. Yeah.
He was legitimately like, you know, everybody had him at like, you know, number 2 on their Heisman list because of Tua in Alabama. You know, he was number 1. Some people had him as number 1 on ESPN. Some people had Will Greer as number 1. So then last week he has a pretty bad game. Throws like 3 picks. Loses a fumble.
Yeah.
I was thinking he had 5 turnovers last. I can't remember. Anyway, so he has a bad game. So then at that point, I'm like, okay. Then he has one bad game where the media bias is against WVU. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
If he has one bad game, he's out. Nobody's going to talk about him again. And the Heisman race is a popularity contest.
Oh yeah.
You know, there is no. It's like an election. You know, it's like a presidential election. You have to run for it. You have to campaign for it. Your school has to campaign for you. But Greer was there. Then he has one bad week, right? Throws some picks, but WVU still wins, so it's all right. So, you know, but he's probably watching ESPN, and, you know, he has one bad week, and immediately his name, boom, like that, his name is out of contention for the Heisman, right? So then it was almost like he came out this week, and it was kind of like, well, Heisman hopes are over, so,
Yeah.
You know, he just looked sloppy. He didn't look ready. Well, some of that's coaching, some of that's his own mental prep. So, you know, just didn't look good for WVU, but I can't say I didn't expect it. Because, you know, we have our group text with me and Brent and our buddy Matt, and, you know, I was texting back and forth all week. Me and Matt were saying all week, got to look at this Iowa State. And, you know, Matt flat out doesn't like WVU.
No.
He's a Texas fan. But this Iowa State game could be an upset. Upset alert, you know.
Well, he even on the thing on Facebook, he was talking to Kreitz. He's a man. Don't look past, and that's one of the games Kreitz was really worried about. Was because that's what you got to be ready for him.
So people can say Holgorsen says all the right things, like, oh, we're just taking it 1 week at a time. We're playing Iowa State. That's just what every coach says now because Belichick says it.
Right.
And they want to look like Belichick.
Well, and we were talking about Holgorsen too earlier, and he's not a head coach. He's not. I mean, what he's done his whole career, no matter who he's been with, he's offensive coordinator. That's what he is. He gets a decent quarterback.
Yeah.
He can get him to throw for some ridiculous yardage, pretty good touchdown. But I mean, how many? I'd like to see how many of his players that he's coached, especially quarterbacks, have been drafted, and how many are still in the league. Because to me, it can't be because Texas Tech they always have a guy that throws for 5,000 yards a season.
Keenum, that's kind of the only guy I can think of.
Yeah,
Case Keenum.
Yeah,
and he's not even really
For some reason, who's he with?
I don't know.
They were all about him for a minute.
Yeah, Case Keenum. And wasn't he with
Denver, isn't it?
Is he? I can't remember where he's at, but that's the only guy I can think of that Holgorsen has coached. That I think that was a Holgorsen guy when he was at Houston. I think Case Keenum was his.
I'm pretty sure
his guy.
But because. And I know you're not big on the soul system thing.
I hate the term system quarterback. I hate it.
I agree with you, but and this kind of I don't understand why all of college isn't a pro style. Yeah. Why it's not a pro style to get them, because that to me that's what you're doing. You're getting them ready for the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if that's the big grand scheme of things.
I don't think the coaches look at it like that though, because they're getting paid millions of dollars for the college. Yeah. I don't think they really give a crap if their players go into the NFL or not.
Well, that's
because they're going to be stuck in college either way.
Right.
Because after the whole Saban incident, there's not a lot of NFL teams looking to hire college coaches. But the college coaches are still making millions and millions of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if they care a lot. But, I mean, you're right. In a perfect world, it should be NFL-style offenses.
Yeah, because there's been a lot of players go that's been the concern.
Yeah, they played in the air raid system.
Yeah, and that's
the quote unquote system quarterbacks. Even though I hate that term, but yeah, man, WVU. We'll see I'm still rooting for them. We'll see what they do the rest of the season, but I'm not a big fan of Holgorsen. Yeah. I never have been. Ever since we go back to the Bill Stewart incident,
here we
go. He was too good of a man.
Oh boy!
And Holgorsen used the system to drag him down. It was a smear job by the media on Bill Stewart, and it killed the man. It killed him.
Couldn't handle the stress.
He couldn't handle the stress. His heart couldn't handle the stress, and it killed him. Because WVU hurt him so bad that he was so heartbroken that he died. That's the kind of man. He wasn't a good head coach. He was not a good head coach. But dang it if he wasn't a great man. And that speech he gave, man, leave no doubt.
I'll be hit you in the feel goods.
Should have never played the old gold and blue. I mean, but Holgorsen's handling the whole Bill Stewart situation where he was like, oh, I'll sit here and be an offensive coordinator for a year. And then all of a sudden, you're out, Bill Stewart. You're gone. And then he frames Bill Stewart with saying that Bill Stewart was trying to dig up dirt on him to try to get him to not have the job. That was a smear job by Holgorsen, and it was dirty politics.
Dirty politics.
And that's why I'm not a big Holgorsen fan. I'm also, I think the air raid offense is played out. Offenses like this come out through all the time. You had the spread offense with Rich Rodriguez. Yep. You have the air raid offense with Holgorsen. All these are little flash in the pan, but come down to it, who's going to win the national championship every year?
Yep.
Alabama. Because what do? They line up and they run the ball at you, and you can't stop them.
Yep.
And there's no fancy trick spread offense or air raid or anything like that.
And look at the NFL players that they every year
it's
in and year
insane.
out
It's
that
insane.
are going to the NFL.
Yeah, it's insane.
I see anything since I can't remember what year it was, but since Alabama has the most players drafted to go to the NFL.
And not really quarterbacks, but, we're talking running backs, linemen, linebackers, safeties, defensive linemen. They're really prevalent in the NFL.
And they got the next man up, thing. If somebody goes down, guess what? There's somebody behind them ready to step into their shoes.
And they're really good.
Do the work.
And, Holgerson's recruiting, he doesn't care about defense because he knows he's playing in the Big 12, and that's the name of the game.
Yep.
But think if somebody had a decent defense in the Big 12. Like, Kansas has a decent defense this year. They're surprising people. They took West Virginia deep into the game.
They did,
Kansas defense is surprising people. Oklahoma always has a good defense. That's why they win the Big 12 every year, because they have a good defense. Guys, we just had a little recording snafu there, and I thought I'd stop the tape, but I didn't. And then I tried to rebound with the every year thing there. But guys, thanks for listening. We're out of time here. That's where we're going to stop it. We could probably talk about college football all day, but we're not going to. Thanks for listening. You can find us on Facebook. Just type in the Couch Thoughts Podcast. This episode is available on Podomatic, iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. Twitter, hit us up at Couch Thought Pod, no S in there. And also the YouTube, I still shout it out because it's got all of our old podcasts on there. But that's about it for us guys this week. Thanks again for listening. Until the next podcast, later.